Welcome to Gaming on a Budget. Today we bring you Assault on Doomrock. But wait, astute observer, you must have noticed that this is actually the box for the expansion. Well, we don't have the box for Assault on Doomrock. We got it from a super generous guy on Board Game Geek, thank you Jared, who had it all packaged in the expansion box, so that's what we have, and you'll just have to pretend that this is the base game box. Because, as much as possible, we're not playing with the expansion stuff. We're trying to focus just on the base game stuff. So, any references to terrain or anything like that that's only in the expansion, will be discarded and redrawn. Also, we have one more starting card than we're supposed to. We're not really sure which one it is that doesn't belong, so we're just kind of essentially starting at level 2, which doesn't give us as much of an advantage as you might think, just because the cost to level up is based on your current level. So we get an extra starter skill, but in exchange, gaining our first, meaningful level is harder. So, you can decide for yourself how that balances out difficulty-wise. Anyway, to start at the beginning, in Assault on Doomrock, we are a group of less than stellar adventurers, shall we say, seeking to get to Mount Doomrock and triumph over some great, mysterious, whatever, evil. Now, when I say imperfect, it's because, in addition to our class, which follows the usual fantasy, tropes, mage and ranger, in this case, is what we'll be playing, each character will have a trait card. I'm an impatient mage, and she is an unstable ranger. Now, each of those traits comes with an up and a down. For example, my impatient says that at any time gain 1 expose after moving adjacent to enemies. Expose markers are bad. You don't want them. So anytime I move adjacent to an enemy, I get a bad thing. Not great. In exchange, however, I can make one of my abilities initiative enabled. And I start the game with the Rush In ability. Not necessarily ideal for a mage, but we'll see how this plays out. Then, of course, the unstable for the ranger, you can probably read that right there. Anyway, we've got our starting skills, and this will be a dice placement game. We will be, rolling dice at the beginning of the combat, beginning of each round of combat, and assigning them. We get 2 rerolls, King of Tokyo style. And we're actually only going to have combat 3 times. There's an encounter 1, which, should be easier. I'm not going to say easy, because none of them are easy in this. Then an encounter 2, medium difficulty, and finally, if we've made it to Doomrock, an encounter 3. If we haven't, by the time we're supposed to have our 3rd encounter, we just automatically lose. So it behooves us to progress in our adventure. Now, that brings us to what's actually the first phase, the adventuring phase, where we will travel around to different locations, undertaking various actions and spending our time. Time determined by the current scenario card. And in doing so, we'll, gain items and money and powers and, so on and so forth, and possibly some expose and other bad things. But more importantly, we will progress through the deck. We can undertake an action called Venturing Forth, wherein we will discard the leftmost area and scooch them over and reveal the next one. And in so doing, hopefully make it to the bottom card, aka Doomrock, before it's time to have the 3rd encounter, so that we don't automatically fail. Now, chances are we'll play through, an adventure phase and a combat phase, but it'll go in the same basic format for the 2 extra times you would do it in a full game. Just, it would use up a lot of film and such. film.
Well, memory.
Yeah, and time, so you'll get a more than sufficient gist out of seeing the first little bit there. Then of course we've got our treasure cards, our extra skills, and our events. We'll be drawing those for a variety of reasons that we'll cover in the game. But this is all going to be easier to understand and clearer and such actually seeing it in action, so let's jump on over to gameplay.